Right. So welcome, guys. It's just a short presentation literally on weight loss and how to navigate Christmas. So I think all of you guys that have joined from my side, at least, your goal at the moment is weight loss. And that is very much what this talk is targeted around. However, the principles are useful for other stages anyway, and just some of the mindset pieces. So it's still applicable, but particularly so for weight loss. Will it let me move? Yes. So the aims of this presentation. So the aim of this is just to help you understand the best way for you to navigate Christmas when you're on a weight loss journey and to reduce the uncertainty and stress around this. So what kind of inspired me to put this together was many of you started about 2-3 weeks ago, started to question and make noise around Christmas and just voice that, what's the plan? What should I do? What shouldn't I do? And so I just wanted to, put people at ease and give you a little bit of more advice and guidance around a time that some people find a bit more stressful and a bit more difficult, again, particularly from a weight loss perspective. So just a short summary of the talk. We're just going to start by delving into what is Christmas anyway. We're then going to look at the fact that you guys are still in control. So even though we can be worried, we can think it's a stressful time, just kind of reaffirming that you are in control of the outcome of Christmas. I'm going to encourage you guys to make a plan, decide the plan that's best for you, and then just delve into 5 areas that people particularly struggle with over the festive period. So let's start with what is Christmas anyway? So why all the stress? Why is it kind of hyped up? For me, I think it's really useful, and I like to do this with my clients, and I would have touched on with my guys at least a little bit anyway, the fact that Christmas is essentially, if we take the religion out of it, it is just a time when there's more social events than normal, more easily accessible, high calorie foods and drink, and so you're tested more. So we can put Christmas in this bracket and think of it as this big thing, but if we strip it back, it's essentially what I help you guys deal with week in, week out, at weekends, with social occasions, but it's just a concentrated time when there's more of it. So you already have the tools to deal with it. You're just going to be tested a little bit more regularly over a short space of time. This is what I mentioned earlier. So a really key kind of thing to remember, and something that can really ground you, is just to remember that you are still in control. So we still have choices, and we're in control of our actions. So nobody forces the 20th celebration into your mouth. We've all been there. Raise your hand. Yeah. Nobody forces the 20th celebration into your mouth. You put it there. So there's 2 sides to this piece. So on one side, don't panic. You are in control and can be in control through the Christmas period. But on the flip side, you are responsible for the outcome. So if you do decide to delve into the celebration tin, that's fine. But that's your choice and your responsibility. And obviously the outcome is obviously a result of that as well. So if you only take one thing away from today's presentation, it would be this, and that is make a plan. And again, my guys, I'm really hot on this with you, always talking about, okay, what is the plan? The reason for this is it helps reduce the feelings of anxiety, stress, overthinking, and panic that can come up when you go into events that are a little bit more taxing. And it also gives us that sense of control. So as humans, we love that feeling of knowing what's going to happen, knowing that we've got control over a situation, and we create it even if it's not necessarily there. But that can be a really useful thing coming into Christmas, especially when we're trying to lose weight, when there's a lot more uncertainty. Structure goes out the window because we're perhaps not at work anymore, kids might be off, and there's more time. I actually had this conversation recently with Amy, who is on here somewhere, and she had a week and a half off work, and actually she found that much harder than when she was at work, just because her structure had gone. So again, around Christmas, we don't have the set structure of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It can become a little bit blurred, and that can become a little bit more taxing. But if we make a plan, that can kind of overcome some of those factors. So why make a plan? So I touched on this a little bit already, but these are three main things, or three main arguments for doing it. So number one, it builds trust in yourself, your self-confidence and motivation when you achieve it. So again, from my experience of dealing with people who have at times been overweight, there tends to be a lack of confidence sometimes in their ability to achieve what they want to, their ability to lose weight. And there can be a lack of motivation to kind of start that process. If we go into Christmas and we actually set a plan, and that could be that we're planning to put on a couple of kilos, whatever it is, it will still register as as been boosting your confidence because you set out to do something and you achieved it. Whereas the opposite of that, if you go into it, there's no plan and things don't go how you want, then it will register as something negative and it can kind of decrease your motivation. It also helps build a positive relationship with food, like things like control, particularly in the early stages of weight loss. So for those of you, again, who have been significantly overweight, there will have been a time when with your food, you've been quite out of control and felt that. So going into Christmas, if we can kind of regain that sense of control and encourage a more controlled relationship with food, that can help in the long term. I don't think it's that helpful, particularly in the early stages where you're trying to build these new, more controlled habits to suddenly go, oh, okay, everything goes out the window for 3-4 weeks. It's going to bring back those habits that you've had before. And obviously that's not going to help in your weight loss journey. Someone else has just joined. I'll just let them in. I'm not sure who that is. I can't see everyone on here.
Natalie. Hi, Natalie.
Hi, Natalie.
I'm so sorry that I came on late.
It's okay. I can't see everyone. I'll carry on, but we're going to do questions and things at the end. So please do anything that you want to ask, or if anything doesn't make sense, then please do jump in at the end and we'll have a bit of discussion.
Thank you.
Okay, so we were just talking about making a plan. So I was saying it's one of the main things I would suggest people do going into Christmas. So making a plan of what the outcome of Christmas. So that could be to put on weight, to maintain weight or lose weight. We're just touching on how it builds confidence in yourself and your decision making and the confidence that you can do what you decide to, and also just strengthens that sense of control around food. And then the last one, as I've said before, without plans, people tend to panic, overthink, and have anxiety. So it can make Christmas actually a lot more enjoyable if you have a little bit of structure in place of how you want to go. So as I've just said, the outcomes that we're planning for when we're looking at weight loss, there's basically three to choose from. So we could decide we want to put on weight, we could decide we want to maintain weight, or we could decide that we want to lose weight. And I've put on there, and I think it's particularly important if we do decide that we want to put on weight and we're okay with that over the Christmas period, is deciding how much. So there's a massive difference between putting on a kilo or putting on a stone. And it's actually just putting some boundaries in place with what you're prepared to deal with, and capping it so that it's not just a kind of a free-for-all when things can get a little bit crazy and out of control, but just deciding, yeah, okay, I am going to put on weight over Christmas, but I'm setting it at a max of 2 kilos, for example. So yeah, this is the harder part, and this is choosing which one you want. So as I said, we've got that choice of losing weight, we can maintain weight, or we could put weight on. And these are things, again, that I talk to my guys with, and we'll put exact plans in place for you anyway. But these are some of the things that I use to help you decide which outcome is best for you. So number one would be the time frame you have for your goal. So for example, if after Christmas you had an event that you wanted to weigh X amount for, if you had a photo shoot, or the end of your goal when you wanted to hit a target weight was shortly after Christmas, this might influence your decision, and you might perhaps think, right, I'm going to maintain or continue to slowly lose, compared to someone who's got maybe another year in a weight loss phase, so they've got more time to play with and it's not so time critical. The second one, and I think this one is particularly important, is the psychological impact of each outcome. So just asking yourself, what are you prepared to deal with, and what can you deal with psychologically? So again, when we're losing weight, a lot of people just day to day struggle with the fact that their weight might fluctuate a little bit. So me and John talk about this a lot, about the fluctuations and how, but how it's very normal. And, you know, the beginning of the week, you could actually be a kilo or so heavier by the end. You know, there are fluctuations of weight, and we have to get used to the fact that that is normal. People struggle with this though. And, you know, we can freak out if our weight goes up and when we think, hang on, I've done everything that I should have done. And it can affect us. So for those of you that are a little bit more secure with that relationship with your weight, who are fine thinking, right, my weight's going to go up a couple of kilos over Christmas, but I know I'll get back to plan and within a couple of weeks it'll be back down again, fine, that might suit you. For those of you that are impacted still a little more by seeing your weight go up, it might be an argument to say, okay, actually I want to maintain, or I only want it to go up a kilo, just because thinking about the psychological impact on you. How you want to feel once Christmas is over. Again, this is something that's quite easily, well, people do easily forget. So it's easy to enjoy the moment. You know, you might overeat, you might not really think about it. And then suddenly it gets to January and you feel, you know, you've been hungover for 2 weeks, you're bloated, you've eaten everything in your sight, and you feel like crap. And that bit's easy to forget until you get there and you've stopped kind of just the socializing and the parties back to back. If you want to go into January feeling kind of refreshed, feeling like you're still on track, but you enjoyed yourself, again, you might be looking to, okay, I might maintain, or I might just decide to put on a kilo, compared to someone who is fine, you know, okay, I'm going to have 2 weeks where I just drink and eat wherever I want, but you've got to be prepared to deal with the outcome of that and think about how you want to feel once Christmas is over. Thinking about the driver behind your decision is really important too. So for a lot of people, Christmas can become a little bit of an excuse. So particularly, you know, if you're on a long weight loss journey, you know, I've got guys who have, it's been 1 year, 2 years, they've got 5 stone to lose. It's a long time to maintain in that deficit. So it is challenging, and we can grab onto something that almost gives us an excuse just to go nuts. And I'm not saying Christmas isn't a time to be enjoyed. It absolutely is. But the extent to which you do that is, I think it's worth considering your driver. So are you just enjoying that meal because you're having a nice time with friends? Or has it turned into you saying, oh, well, it's Christmas and things have got out of control? And then the last one, I've touched on it before, is just making sure that you have boundaries within your outcome. So again, be a bit more specific. So if you want to lose weight, what are you happy with as a weight loss? So if you decide, actually, normally I lose half a kilo a week, but actually I'm okay if it just slows down to 0.1, 0.2, fine, decide that, and then be happy when that happens, not disappointed. And equally, if you decide to put on weight, fine. But again, plan for how much you're willing to let that go. So again, there's a big difference between putting on a couple of kilos and being a stone heavier in January. So just get specific with your outcomes. So these are 5 areas that I, in my experience, have found that people particularly struggle with. Again, at the end, we'll have a bit more discussion as a group on any of this. But these are the 5 that stand out to me. So number 1 is alcohol. 2 is meals out. 3 is the fuck it, it's Christmas. Me and my client Lucy talk about pressing the fuck it button quite a lot. But yeah, it's a thing. People will use that. Number 4, knowing when Christmas is over. So accepting, obviously, Christmas isn't December, all of December and January, but it can be a much shorter period of time and should be. And then number 5 is social pressure. So we're just going to delve into those. So alcohol. So the reason I find people struggle with alcohol is normally its effects. So in the moment, it can obviously lower our inhibitions. And then if we're trying to stick to a plan with food, for example, that can go out the window. And suddenly, like I said before, that tin of celebrations, oh, it's fine, it's Christmas. And, you know, the drinks continue and then the shots start. And then before you know it, what was supposed to be 500 calories of alcohol was turned into thousands. Again, we've all been there, haven't we, John?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But again, ways to approach this. So it's useful to set yourself limits. Again, great if you want to have a drink over Christmas, go for it. But it helps if you can just put a boundary in place. So again, typically, if we have struggled with weight in the past, our boundaries with food and drink may have been a bit blurry, and it's been hard for us to stick to them or set them. But if you can set yourself some limits with drink, that will really help. So, okay, I'm going to the Christmas party, but I'm going to have 5 vodka Diet Cokes, or I'm going out for a meal and I'm going to have 3 glasses of wine. Just help yourself out by putting a bit of structure in place while still enjoying yourself. Having drinking and non-drinking days, I think this can be quite useful over Christmas. So it might be that you say to yourself, fine, I want to drink on Boxing Day, Christmas Eve, but then the rest of the time that week, I'm not going to touch alcohol. And that, again, can be just quite a useful and easy way to structure it. And again, just thinking of damage limitation when we do have a weight loss goal in mind, but we still want to enjoy our Christmas. And then the last one, I touched on that kind of briefly before about the knock-on effect that drinking alcohol can have. So if you rehydrate before you go to bed, you'll hopefully feel a little less hungover the next day, and then you're less likely to then reach for the food for comfort, which can often happen if we've had a big night or we've had a lot of alcohol. Rather than that just impacting those days, it can have a knock-on effect the next couple of days because we feel so rough. And then we're just like, oh, I just need to feel better. And often that can be food, particularly at Christmas time when there's a lot of food, high calorie food, easily available and around. So dealing with meals out, again, great time at Christmas that we tend to meet up with friends, but often that will be out at restaurants or catching up with family. And just 3 useful things to think about is, number 1, choosing your meal ahead of time. The reason I advise people to do this is just it limits our choice and the temptation when we get there. So if you've already gone, you've chosen your meal, when you get there, you're relaxed, maybe you do have a glass of wine, you're less likely to be swayed by other people or just let your inhibitions go and choose something that's wildly off plan. Well, if you choose before you go, and you can know, right, I can have the rest of the food this day, and if I have that meal, I still enjoy myself, but I'll still hit my calorie target. If you can't choose ahead of time, a lot of the menus have to have the calories on there now if they're a chain restaurant. And then as a backup, you've always got your hand guide. So I think most of the guys I've worked with will have done this with me at some point, but roughly we're looking for, okay, is there a decent kind of palm size amount of protein with a meal? Is there some veg? Is there a cupped handful of carbohydrate? And roughly double those portions for men. It's easy, your hands are always with you, and it's just eyeballing and putting together a meal that we know is roughly balanced. And it's a great backup if you can't see the calories or you haven't chosen before. And then that last one, which just kind of ties into what we spoke about with alcohol, is deciding if you're going to drink with your meal beforehand. And again, this just helps put a little bit more structure in place and sets you up to be successful if you know beforehand if you're going to drink or not. It just, again, it prevents those accidents happening where suddenly, what was supposed to be a meal and maybe no alcohol turns into 10, 20 drinks. Hopefully not 20, but many drinks in the evening. Right, the fuck it, it's Christmas trap. So I think this is a really important point. Remember that Christmas doesn't equal overeating and getting drunk. I'm pretty sure that was never in the Bible or in the origins of Christmas. It's something that we have placed and it's become tied into Christmas. If you're going into Christmas trying to lose weight, it's a really powerful thing to remember that that is not what Christmas is supposed to be about. And I think I put it on point 4 there. Make it about friends and family, not just the food. So yes, we should enjoy food. Yes, we can enjoy a drink, but it shouldn't be 2 weeks of overeating. This is in my opinion and what I advise to my clients anyway. It shouldn't be 2 weeks of overeating and drinking to excess all the time. That was never supposed to be what Christmas was about. It has become that way from society. But again, if we look at society, most people are overweight or obese. So it's not really working. And it's just something to think about, for you to question, actually, how do I want to do Christmas and how can I make Christmas fit my goals? Easy one there. Don't use it as an easy excuse on the rough days or the tough days. So we all have tough days when we're in a deficit. It is hard. And it's an easy thing for us to latch on to, literally saying, fuck it, it's Christmas, so I can have. And that can become, a couple of days, which could turn into a couple of weeks. And some people, they just write off the whole of December saying, fuck it, it's Christmas, and all plans go out the window. And also that kind of thinking it's Christmas, it reinforces that black and white thinking, being on or off a diet, which again, you guys know from working with me, we're trying to come away from that thinking. It's not particularly helpful when you're trying to lose weight. And it's often one of the things that's helped us get to be overweight in the first place. And actually saying, oh, it's Christmas, just kind of reinforces something that we're trying to move away from. Knowing when Christmas is over. Remember that Christmas isn't a month. It is a day. It is a couple of days. And for some people, that can turn into the whole of December or the whole of January. Again, if we're coming at this from a weight loss perspective, 2 months is a sixth of the year. And that's going to have a significant impact on your weight loss journey, slow it down, or possibly see it go the other way. So just try and remember, okay, it's a couple of days. I want to enjoy those. I've got my plan, but that doesn't extend past that. So it should be business as usual the rest of the time. Another big one is after Christmas, you don't have to eat all the leftover food. So it's one of the things I hear quite a lot is, oh, well, that was still in the house and this was left for Christmas. Oh, I wanted to finish that off. And again, most of the time, that's just, it's a way of excusing us overeating and continuing to eat the food that's around. I completely understand not wanting to waste food, and I'm all for that. But there are other ways to get rid of that food. Food banks. There is a lot of people who are in need of food at the moment. So regifting, taking chocolates to the office even, or giving them to food banks is a great way of dealing with that. This last point on here, so just setting a date to get back to your normal routine. I think that again can be really powerful. So just in your head, marking a time when, if you do decide, right, I want to just enjoy these 3 days, I'm not going to track, absolutely fine, go for it, set that as your goal, but then just have a date in mind that you're going to get back to your normal routine. And dealing with social pressure. So just a reminder to you all that you can do what you want to do. So nobody actually gets hurt if you decide not to drink, or if you decide that you're not going to have a pudding. Again, people can get wrapped up in this idea that people will be upset if you're not joining in and doing exactly what they are. But I think it's important to remember that everybody here, if you're trying to lose weight, you're trying to improve yourself, you're trying to improve your health. So don't let other people, particularly if maybe it's not what they're doing, that's fine, but don't let that impact you or make you feel guilty because you are. So I'll close the presentation in a second, and we'll just have a bit of a discussion on some of that and get some questions. But main takeaways for you guys: remember that Christmas was never supposed to be about overeating and drinking for days on end. Make it about family and friends and not just the food. Make a plan. So that's the biggest bit of advice I can give any of you guys. Again, as I said, that doesn't matter if that's a plan to put on a bit of weight, maintain or lose. Just have a plan in place. Again, it will just register as you taking control, you successfully executing what you wanted to do, and that will help you down the line with your weight loss journey. Remember, you're in control and you're responsible for your choices and those outcomes. And then also, I hope I haven't come across too negative about Christmas, but I do hope you have a lovely Christmas. And I do hope, obviously with support from me and obviously from those that are coached by Saul, that we help you achieve your goals but still enjoy that. So I'm just going to close the presentation and hopefully open this back up. Okay, so I realize that I gave a lot of information to you guys there, but does anyone have anything that they particularly related to or anything they wanted to discuss? Please fire away if they have anything to add. Somebody. John.
Oh, Jamie, someone needs to speak to Jamie Oliver about the leftovers for starters, yeah?
Yeah. Are we blaming Jamie?
Yeah, because that turkey pie is good.
Can you relate to that idea though, John, of, I know you've done it before, when there's food left in the house after Christmas, how much more challenging that makes trying to stick to it? to plan.
Especially on a hangover, it's like eating a cold curry the day after. All those pigs in blankets lying around and stuff like that. It is really difficult because you've got a hangover as well. Not now. Yeah, you might do, you might not. But generally, yeah, it's like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like you need to put like a picture of yourself on the fridge when you first started the journey, or a lock.
Yeah, either or. Anything that you particularly related to?
Pretty much all of it, really. I think the peer pressure, because you meet up with friends. Christmas is a time when you don't see people, you haven't seen people all year, and they're all looking forward to seeing you, and sort of getting on it. They really want to catch up and sort of blow the bloody doors off. But it's it's like conversations we've had recently quite a lot. I'm a different person now, so it's quite difficult navigating those parties, because I'm getting used to it. I'm getting better at it, but yeah, I'm getting better. I'm all right. I'm not too bad. I don't mind drinking 0 or whatever. But other people get offended because they haven't seen you for a long time and they've been psyching themselves up for this big event, and they're all planning for the hangover. But I'm planning for a big ride, or seeing you the following day. So it's not going to work.
But I think it's important. Like, sometimes there is some of that pressure from people, and there is that we can feel like, oh, we're going to upset them if I don't drink. But
yeah,
a lot of the time they don't notice. Like, Lucy, actually, I went to Lucy's wedding and I didn't have a drink. And a lot of the time I could have a Diet Coke in my hand and people wouldn't necessarily know there wasn't a spirit in there. And it's in our own heads that we think people are going to be that bothered about what we're drinking, looking at what we're drinking, but people wouldn't know. If I asked anyone at Lucy's wedding, was I drinking? They'd have no clue. It's not something that they tune into, but we can think, oh God, they're going to notice and they're going to be upset if I don't drink or I don't eat this food. But a lot of that can be in our own heads.
Yeah. Chocolate, that's a big one.
Chocolate. Lucy, was there anything you particularly related to on that, or anything you, obviously I know I said about, we've said about pressing the fuck it button before, which is we've all done, but Lucy's gone.
Am I?
There you are, you're on.
Hi.
Sorry, John's just inspired me to jump on the treadmill, so I don't know if it's a bit loud.
Oh, you're fine.
But yeah, so I was just thinking about the how do you want to feel afterwards, because I personally kind of hate Christmas because I always start January really poor, really fat, really hungover, just like not really fat, but just feeling horrible. Yeah. And I was thinking, and it's about what we talk about whenever we talk about like holidays coming up and trips, like the whole point is to rest and feel better, and I never start the new year feeling rested.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking about a plan, but a plan that also looks like, how am I going to spend that time? Like, where am I going to get some time for myself in to feel refreshed? And like John says, if you're getting up to go on a ride in the morning, if you're getting up to go to the gym in the morning, then that for me might be a good incentive to not have as many drinks the night before, or maybe not have any drinks. Because normally for me that is, it's 2 weeks off work, it's 2 days of drinking. 2 weeks of drinking every day, and just then eating and just feeling worse and worse and just like doing it out of habit. Yeah. So I was like, if I could kind of break that cycle this year and go into the new year feeling rested, then I think that would be a good motivation.
But I think it's just happened that in, I don't know when or how, but the history of Christmas, but it's turned into this commercial thing where it's become acceptable to put on a stone or whatever it is because it's Christmas. But if you do take a step back from it, it's like, actually, why am I doing that every year? What's my actual goal? And does that match? And actually, for a lot of people, it doesn't. And yes, you can have a nice meal with family and friends, but then you can just crack on with your health and fitness goals. And it shouldn't be, well, it's Christmas, so it's like a month or 2 months where that goes down, you know, down the pan. You can absolutely still go into January feeling refreshed, feeling fit and healthy, and continuing, rather than this idea that, okay, I do all this damage in December, I feel like crap, and then I've got to undo it again from January. And I as I said, I'm not sure when that started, but when you look at it, it's quite a weird concept. And I'm not sure how that started, but the point is you can obviously do it your way.
I think this year for me will be, last Christmas was the first year that I didn't drink. Well, only on Christmas Day, literally. And it was very memorable.
Yeah.
And I started the new year fresh. And I just want to do the same thing again, because, you know, well, it's just better.
Yeah.
I just feel so much better. There's less baggage. There's none of those anxiety moments.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I don't have to face you on a Monday morning. You're going, oh, you've got it again.
The main motivation.
Yeah.
No,
So
but you're right. It's, you know, it can, a lot of people, not everybody, but with that alcohol comes, okay, your sleep's then disrupted. You then don't feel as refreshed. You then some people get anxiety. It doesn't really match the goal of, okay, I want to lose weight and start to feel stronger, start to perform better in the gym, start to recover well. It kind of takes you in the opposite direction. And again, it's just an easy time for that to be forgotten, and we just go into it's Christmas mode. So I think
starting the new year with a spring in your step as opposed to a hangover. It's
and
just so different.
Build on the last year rather than go back a step and think, right, now I've got to catch up. I think that's a good way to look at it. Yeah,
it's a revelation for me. It's really powerful, and it just I hope that I can do another year 2, Christmas 2. Part 2, yeah.
Has anyone else got any other questions or anything else they want a bit guidance on, or just anything else they wanted to share? As I said, I know these Zoom things, I still find them quite weird with everyone's faces, but it does help if anyone has anything of use for anybody else or any questions. We're good. I did such a good job on the presentation. No one's to ask.
I was going to say, I was just going to say that I thought the point that I resonate the most with is this like no man's land between Christmas and New Year. It's the weirdest, like everybody suddenly forgets the day. No one knows what day it is. For me, in this house with my family, as soon as Christmas is over, it's like no one knows what day it is and everyone eats leftovers for about 7 days. Yeah, there's alcohol constantly. We don't live like that ordinarily, and and it's a really strange practice between Christmas and New Year that suddenly all rational thought goes out the window and you're eating like stuffing for breakfast and it's normal. It's really strange behavior, and I don't behave like that at any other time of the year. And it's just, and I dread it. I actually physically dread it, which is why I was quite keen to come on this call today, because I physically dread the approach to Christmas, because I know that it's really hard to maintain your sense of focus during a period where everybody's in no man's land and people are drinking all the time and you're seeing friends and you just have the, like, exactly as you said, it's the fuck it, it's Christmas, association. And I definitely don't like the feeling of waking up in January and thinking I really wished I hadn't behaved that badly in that week or 2 week period, because it's almost like it's not a valid space and time. It's like it doesn't matter, so you just thought fuck it. And I think it's a really unhealthy way to look at it. And last year I didn't do that, which was quite nice. It was the first year where I was very mindful throughout the process. As I was training with Saw, I'm still training with Saw, and this is my 2nd year. And it was really nice to be able to be like, I'm going to get up on the next day. I'm still going to do a workout, still going to be counting my macros. And it's really, really hard to maintain that when everyone else around you is doing the complete opposite. So I find the motivation for me is the hardest part, because everybody else is doing something completely different.
So I think for you to build that motivation for yourself is obviously if you plan your days and if you put a bit of structure in place, it's just tuning into actually, I felt good today because I had a plan, and then that will build. Or, you know, it's quite easy to do it when a day when you have no structure, and like you say, you're eating stuffing for breakfast, you're in your pajamas still at 3 p.m, it's very hot. If you then
exactly like that,
you tune into actually, I felt like crap today, that's your motivation, right? Tomorrow I'm going to get back to your plan. And I do appreciate it is hard if everyone else around you isn't doing that, but sometimes if you lead, other people actually will, I'm dying for some structure, I'll join in with you. And that often happens with me. I go for a big walk in the morning before everything starts, and the more I've done that, people start to want to come with me, and I really want to stretch my legs, I want to get out of the house. And if you can lead a bit in your household, it becomes easier because everyone's doing that, and then it becomes the norm. But it is hard to be the first one if you're surrounded by people doing the complete opposite. But it can be done. And I think putting a plan in place, I'm big on planning everything, but the night before, if I know what my day the next day looks like, it goes 10 times better than if I just woke up and I'm like, okay, there's all this time, I can't function, and then I feel like I waste the day, and then you find yourself in the celebrations or quality streets, and you're like, what is this day? That structure, I think, especially around food, so making sure you still have, if you're used to 2 meals a day or 3 meals a day, you still do that, rather than the random one big leftover meal in the evening, or, you know, the weird habits that, as you said, suddenly become acceptable for this 2-week period.
You've got to stick on plan and stay active as well, and like you say, I think that resonates with me. You know what, we were away with another family last year, and they're big drinkers, and I didn't drink at all until Christmas Day. I just had a few shandies and a glass of champagne, that was it. But absolutely sticking to plan, like having that breakfast set out, having the layout, making sure you've got everything you usually have every day, as opposed to winging it on leftovers. If you wing it on leftovers, it's not going to work.
I think it's really good if you don't host. I'm not hosting this year, so there will be no food in my house. Absolute genius. Last year I hosted for 20 people, so there was endless amounts of food. It's not going to be a problem this year.
Definitely.
And I think that is, like I said, afterwards, like, get the crap that you don't normally eat, if it's in your cupboards, you will eat it at some point. 99% of the time that happens. You end up a stressful day or something happens and you're like, oh yeah, I had that thing left over from Christmas, and you eat it and then you regret it. So if you can try and do a bit of a kitchen clear out after Christmas is done, as I said, decide a day that for you, okay, that's done, I'm going back to normal living, and just, as I said, donate, give it away, just get it out your house, because you're only going to regret it down the line. It's only going to go one way with that side of things. So make your environment match what you want to happen.
So my oldest friend Natalie was with us, and so she came there and she went home bloated, but then I saw her 3 months later and she said she hadn't had a drink for 3 months, and she looks amazing, and she'd been running again, she'd lost, I don't know, a couple of stone, and she looked incredible. So it did have a positive effect on the other people around me, which is, you know, another, that's like probably one of the best reasons to do it, you know, to stick to plan almost. Apart from what we talk about all the time, which is we're doing it for us, me, and having that self-belief. You've got to have that belief every day that you can do it.
But that's where the part of, even if you decide you're going to put on X amount, if you prove to yourself, okay, I've made this promise, I made this and I stuck to it, it will register as a positive thing. And it's important to have that belief that whatever you decide to do, you can achieve. A lot of people struggle with that part, particularly if they have been heavier. So the little promises that you make to yourself and the little goals that you set, every one that you achieve, it will just help build that motivation and that confidence that you can do what you need to do. Well, thank you all for spending your Monday evening with me and with each other. I hope you did find that useful. I've recorded this, so I'll send it out as well, so you can go back and watch bits that you might have missed, or go back any other bits if you need a bit of extra motivation, or you have a bit of a wobble, or just need a clear head. I'll send that out. But thank you very much. I hope that we're with Saul, we're going to do these at least monthly, so we'll have different topics, but obviously let you guys know, and yeah, you can come to the ones that you think will be useful for you. But enjoy the rest of your evenings, and I'll hope
nice to meet
you. See you later, guys.
Nice to meet you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.